How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Some idea.
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for the people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
is the end. There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final time. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I accidentally muted myself. But hey guys, I'm pretty sure I was saying all I was really saying, I was thanking Nick for the super chat. Thank you, Nick. All I was really saying is that I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? Pretty sure it's Tuesday. I am finally, at long last, coming out of the Communist Manifesto-induced stupor that I've been in for the last 2 weeks. Because guess what? Guess what? Last night, late in the evening hour, I finished the book. I finished the book, Debunking the Communist Manifesto, which I thought was going to be a tiny, tiny, tiny little project. I was like, this is going to be super quick to bang out. This is no big deal. And then I wrote almost 400 pages. Literally, the book is almost 400 pages long. This is the longest book I have ever written. I had to fact check more in this book than any other thing I've ever written in my life, up to and including my own dissertation. And I did it all in a couple of weeks. And now, do you want to know what do you guys want to know what's happening now? Don't tell anyone. Amazon is giving me shit about this book, and they're saying, it appears as though this book has previously published material in it. And I was like, yes, Amazon, it has the Communist Manifesto in it. Literally, it has a whole section with just like the full text, the full raw text of the Communist Manifesto at the end in case people wanted to reference it. And I was like, Amazon, it's in the public domain. And then some woman with an Indian name emailed me back and she said, you have not provided proof that you own the rights to this. And I'm like, it was written in 1848. She's like, do you want to provide us with a letter from the authors? I was like, well, they're dead, so that might be difficult. So we're going to obviously figure this out. Amazon is just not quite catching up to the fact that the Communist Manifesto is in the public domain, which, I mean, there are like how many versions of the Communist Manifesto published on Amazon today? So we're going to get it all sorted out. But the important thing is the book is done. And as long as Amazon isn't a dick about it, it will be available on March 14th which is the anniversary of Karl Marx's death, and hopefully Amazon will get their shit together and the pre-order will be up soon. Thank you. Happy Mardi Gras. Yeah, for real, for real. I know, we got to do the queer rope thing this week. I know, Trendlin. Okay, it's a busy day, Trendlin. All right, but we will do the queer rope thing. I promise. So I'm really excited that this book is done, mostly because I'm really excited to move on to the next book I want to write. And like I'm getting in a groove right now, guys. I'm getting in a groove. I'm getting in a book writing groove. It is the beginning of March. I'm 2 for 2. I have already finished 2 books this year. Can we make it so I'm writing a book a month? Will I become the most prolific anti-communist author within a single year? Maybe I will, because now I'm getting in a little bit of a groove with these things. But you know what? Listen, like I'm actually, and people are gonna be surprised at some of the things that ended up in this book. I'm gonna tell you right now. People are going to be surprised at some of the things that ended up in this book. Reagan in particular, I can already tell Reagan is going to read some of the things in this book and is going to go like, oh shit. Like you don't understand. Some of the things in this book, it hurt me to the soul of my being to have to write them. But I've been having some honest conversations with myself about appealing to normal people. And listen, I'm not going to change my personality. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to stop being a mean bitch on the internet. I'm not going to stop banning people and yelling at people who cause problems in my chat. But one of the things that I can do to make this subject matter a little bit more palatable for normies is to write with normie sensibilities. And, you know, everyone has to start somewhere. And sad as it is, I do actually need to appeal to people to get them to pay attention to the more important content. You got your Marx is evil posters? Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Snap a picture of them for me. I would love to see them. So, no, we're not normal. This is the thing. No, we are not normal. We are not normal. Hang on. Oh my gosh. I thought I had a water and I didn't have a water, so now I'm getting water. No, Murphy's Pool, this is actually exactly the point. We are not normal. People who sit around for hours every single week with me watching socialist content, we're not normal. We're not. And if our goal is to teach more people about this stuff and to show more people what's going on, I have to, at times, adapt my approach to a more normal approach. This is the conclusion I'm coming to. And listen, books are the perfect place to do that. Because, like, a book is something that is supposed to be accessible to a number of people. It's like an easy way to get a lot of information. I really wanted to write this book in particular because you'll see if you see the book, like I really wanted to write it in a way that it was a reference for people. So it's like if you're talking to your nephew who wants to tell you that real socialism has never been tried, well, you can use the book to like debunk that and to teach him. If you want to use it against a teacher who's trying to teach the Communist Manifesto, you can use it against them. It's more like a reference thing. And so it's like I had to temper down the you guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about when it comes to socialists. Let me tell you about socialists. Socialists don't think that I had to temper it down. I had to temper it down for the purpose and the good of the project, because I do feel like this is a way that we can start to reach out to more normie people and to get them in and to be like, you think that this is the crazy shit? No. Come with us. We're going to show you the real crazy stuff. Hey, Murphy's Pool. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you as always. The debunking book is in paperback. You know, the debunking book is in paperback. I was thinking about making a hardcover version, but as of right now, the debunking book is in paperback and Kindle. So yes, you will be getting it in paperback. But as I was saying, Trendle, and I'm right now in a war with Amazon, because Amazon is like, you're trying to publish previously published content. And I'm like, duh, the Communist Manifesto has been published 15 ways from Sunday. So it didn't register to them at first that like, oh, there's a section of this book that's in the public domain. Oh, so but the pre-order will be up soon, and I appreciate you ordering the racism book. Thanks for that. But one of the things that I'm most excited about, guys, now that I'm done this book, And by the way, the full PDF of this book will be available to members of the Red Menace Collective. That is redmenacecollective.substack.com. Probably tomorrow, definitely this week, but probably tomorrow. So I do have the full PDF. I just need to find time to actually get it up on the site. So of course, members of the Red Menace Collective get access to a digital copy of this book before anyone else. And so if you don't want to wait for Amazon to get their shit together and you just want to see the PDF, what you want to do is to go over to redmenacecollective.substack.com, sign up as a member. You guys are the ones that fund my ability to do this stuff. You guys are the ones that allow me to spend so much time writing books. So I really do appreciate that. So in return, you get draft chapters of the book as I'm writing them. You also get an advanced digital copy before the book is even published of the final version of the book, so you can see it before anyone else does. There's a dedication to Sophie. Sophie's going to be... I dedicated the entire book to Sophie. Do you guys want to see? For people who didn't get this memo the other day, I dedicated the book to Sophie. And I know that Sophie's going to be thrilled. Let's just get the PDF real quick. I should have had this up because I should have known I was going to talk about this. Like, honest to God, guys, my favorite part of this book is that it is dedicated to Sophie. So you can see, to my one true internet love. And I've got a little, oh shoot, that's too close. I got a little drawing of Karl Marx with a skull. So the book is dedicated to my one true love, Sophie Lewis, who is our favorite queer communist. And I know that Sophie is just going to be thrilled that she now has a book debunking the Communist Manifesto dedicated to her. I'm sure this is going to be like a highlight of Sophie's year. I had to do it. It's too funny. It's too funny. But look at this, 371 pages. 371 pages I wrote debunking the Communist Manifesto. No joke. No joke. This book has every single thing you ever want to know about the Communist Manifesto in it. But you know why I'm really excited? Because now I get to write my next book. And I'm actually kind of stupid excited about this exercise that I'm going to do. Okay, so I am working right now on at least 3 different books. I'm working on the re-education book. That I haven't forgotten about. That one hasn't gone anywhere. I'm working on a book called Queer Marxism that's going to be out June 1st for Pride Month. But as part of writing the Queer Marxism book, I'm doing a little detour, and I'm writing a little mini project about the Mary Nardini gang. And I'm doing it in the tone of like a political thriller or like a narrative biography where you're really kind of getting into the story of like what this thing is. And I got to tell you guys, so I posted the outline a couple days ago over on the Red Menace Collective. You can find it here, Be Gay, Do Crime, the story of the Mary Nardini gang. And I posted the outline of the book, and members of the Red Menace Collective can see where it's going. But last night, I posted the first chapter of the book. And I got to tell you guys, I'm just really, really, really excited about this. I'm so excited about it. I actually cross-posted it on my main Substack, which of course is Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com, where you can find it there if you're not yet a member of the Red Menace Collective. And I was so excited about this that I actually just made it free. So it's not even like, you don't even have to be a member to read it, just because like I'm actually legitimately so excited about the way this book is coming out, and it's only the first chapter. And the reason I want to tell the story of the Mary Nardini gang, oh, also, by the way, I have a cover of the book, because this is just how my mind works. I'm like, I have to do the cover of the book, and then I get an image for myself of what the cover looks like. And so that's what the cover of the book generally is going to look like. I'm going to change a couple things, but that is what the cover of the book is going to look like. And and I'm just really excited about it, because the thing of it is I think that the Mary Nardini gang is honestly just such a fascinating story. It's also, this kind of has the spirit of a book that I started writing about a year ago, where I was like, I'm going to write a dystopian futurist novel that talks about the downfall of society into a Marxist utopia. And again, it's like, I always have these great ideas, and I love my ideas when I have them, but sometimes my ideas turn out to be much bigger than I understand when I have them. What I like about this is I get to write this book as it reads like a story. It reads like it reads like a fiction. It reads like a novel that you would write. I would like to see this get turned into a movie someday, honestly. I'm not trying to I don't know if that could actually happen, but like in my head as I'm writing this, I'm like, maybe someone can make a movie based on this book someday. Like, wouldn't that be cool? This would be a Sofia Coppola movie, honestly. Maybe I need to find. Do I know anyone that knows Sofia Coppola? Because like she could make this. Like I'm thinking like Marie Antoinette vibes, because that's one of my favorite movies of all time. Like that sort of thing. So it's like Virgin Suicides sort of thing. It's like that sort of stuff. And well, and honestly, Rationalist, I was actually thinking about this as well. Like, do you know, like I'm really trying to like, the first version of this I wrote it with a very kind of like anti-capitalist, like, this is all wrong for reason X, Y, B, and Z. But then I was like, no, Carlin, just like let it be. Just let it sit. Just let it sit with what it is. And I rewrote it where it has a pinch of anti-capitalism here and there, just like a nod, but I'm really trying to just focus more on the storytelling of it. And so I actually do think, unironically, this book is going to end up appealing to queer Marxists, which I'm not sure exactly how I feel about that. I do like the irony of an anti-communist writing this story, so we'll see how it goes. But I do think it's a really interesting story, and I think it's something that needs to be told. And you know what? Is there anyone better to tell it than me? No, obviously not. So I'm really excited about this, guys. All future chapters of this are not going to be free. This is like the only free preview, because of course I do want to make sure that's only available as an exclusive to members of the Red Menace Collective. I was just so excited. This is a new thing. I haven't really tried to do something like this before. But I think it turned out pretty great. And so please take a look at it. You can find it at redmenacecollective.substack.com. You can also find it at carlin.substack.com. Whatever floats your boat, whichever one you wanna read is fine with me. They're both the same. Let me know your feedback. Leave a comment. I would love to hear it. But this is the next project, and I'm thinking, I was like, what date can I release this? What date can I release this? I'm thinking May Day, May 1st. That's a really big anarchist like day of like, you know, liberation and all that crap. So I'm thinking this is going to release on May 1st, May Day. And then Queer Marxism, fingers fucking crossed, will release on June 1st in honor of Pride Month. That's the schedule I've got, and I don't know when re-education is going to get done, but that's just, but like I'm making some progress. I'm doing some stuff, and I'm really excited about this, and I appreciate you guys allowing me to do this, and I would love any of your feedback and all that good stuff. Anyway, we've got a big day in front of us. Later tonight, we are going to be doing the Trump speech. Trump is giving a big speech in front of Congress. It's going to be big. It's going to be huge. It's going to be the biggest speech ever. And of course, Jennifer and I usually do Disenrage on Tuesday nights, but we are instead going to be tuning in for an episode of Nitwits, where we are going to watch the Trump speech to Congress. It's kind of like the State of the Union, but it's not the State of the Union, but it's a joint speech to Congress, which is pretty much exactly like the State of the Union. It's just that it's his first one, and so, you know, but I actually think it's going to be good. I'm honestly looking forward to it. I think Trump is probably going to be in rare form, and I think it's going to be entertaining, and I actually want to hear what he has to say. So we will be doing that at 9 p.m. tonight. Yep, I'm curious, keeping an open mind. Yep. So we will be back here at 9 p.m. tonight for that. But before we do that, we got to do something I was going to do last week, and then I started yelling at you guys, and then I ended up crying and all this stuff. And so we're going to go back to the presentation that I wanted to watch last week about queer, black, trans activists talking about Trump and resistance and all that stuff. This is from a YouTube channel called Transgender Law Center. And what's going to be great about this is we're going to watch this episode that was streamed 5 days ago, Black Trans Power and Resistance, because tomorrow tomorrow they have a live stream starting at 7 p.m. And so we will get caught up on last week's content today. And then tomorrow at 7 p.m., we're just gonna watch their stream, and we're gonna be very nice about it, and we're gonna be very nice in their chat like we always are. And I'm sure James Lindsay is gonna be complaining about this, because according to James Lindsay, it is not allowed for me to watch other people's live streams on the internet. So I'm sure James Lindsay is gonna be putting up a huge protest for this, because he's just gonna think that the Transgender Law Center is undergoing an exorbitant amount of harassment, because that's what he says whenever I watch his live streams on my YouTube channel, because I'm not allowed to watch him. But apparently he's okay with me watching everyone else. Otherwise, I'll expect him to issue a letter of complaint or whatever the fuck he's doing. But that's for tomorrow. Today we're gonna watch Black Trans Power or something and Resistance, Our Fight for Liberation. And this was streamed last week. And there's a couple they thems, and that's going to be great. And it says, we will shine a light on Black trans movement leaders and organizations fighting for our liberation at local and state levels. In addition, we will discuss mutual aid, direct services, and healing justice work as tools and blueprints for fighting and sustaining Black trans power and resistance. We look forward to having this discussion about our collective future and liberation, yada, 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 yada. So that is what we're going to be watching today, guys. If you appreciate the work I do, I hope you will mount the like button for me. Mounting the like button lets YouTube know to recommend my content to more people. I hope you will also make sure you are subscribed to the channel, whether or not that subscription is on YouTube or on X or on Rumble or whatever platform you're watching on. And remember, guys, the very best way to support the work I'm doing is by heading over to Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com, signing up for a membership, $8 a month, $80 a year. We did just do a spy stream today, although it looks like I forgot to pin the spy stream to the page. We did go inside a trans activism training earlier today for people who are members of that. And so I'll find that and get that pinned to the page and all that good stuff. But we did do a spy stream earlier today. If you want to catch up on that, that is available on demand on the Substack, also for supporters on other platforms like Patreon and Locals and Twitter and YouTube channel members and all that good stuff. So if you missed the spy stream earlier because it was a little bit of a last minute thing, you can find the archives on whatever platform you are a member of. And of course, becoming a member of the Substack does help to support the work I'm doing, which I really, really do appreciate. All right. Let's see. Let's get this party started, shall we? Let's get this party started. Let me make my screen look nice. Oh no, we're starting the Southern accent today. I'm not even drinking. Oh no. All right, we are watching Black Trans Power and Resistance, and we're going to learn what they had to say in this presentation. If you have questions throughout this presentation, please let me know in the chat. We will try to answer any questions that we can. And let's just try to learn what's going on and learn about the pushback to all the nonsense that's going on. And yeah, let's do it. And hopefully it starts without me having to hit something or yell or any of those things. I don't really feel like yelling today. I don't feel like yelling today. Why aren't you starting yet? I don't feel like yelling today. Guys, if you want to support the work I'm doing by sending in a super chat, please feel free to. Let me put the goal up on the screen while we are waiting for this to get started. That shows for a while. Okay, hang on. All right, we got to fast forward. Oh, we're almost there.
Exist to resist.
Oh gosh, I wasn't expecting the deepness
It's a tribute to our history, our present.
Hang on.
And I am the Director of Policy and Programs at Transgender Law Center. We gather here today virtually in honor of Black History Month to uplift and celebrate the resilience, power, and liberation of Black trans people. This is more than just a conversation. It's a tribute to our history, our present, and the future that we're building together. We stand on the foundation laid by our ancestors, whose courage, sacrifices, carved out space for us to exist, to resist, and also to thrive. This work is our inheritance, and it's our responsibility to continue shaping a future where not only we survive, but we flourish. Our speakers today embody the strength of our movement demonstrating how we persist despite an oppressive administration, laws, and policies. Through mutual aid, direct services, healing justice, and organizing, we have created systems of care that sustain us, even in the face of systemic oppression and neglect. When funding for housing, food, and healthcare has been slashed, our community has continued to show up for one another. The legacy of care and resilience is what defines us. Our elders and youth alike remind us that there is power in unity, and today's discussion is a testament to that. As we step into this powerful dialogue, let's remember that showing up for each other is how we honor our past and build our future. With that, I'll turn it over to Kay Richardson, our communications manager at TLC, to lead our introductions and our panel discussion. Take it away, Kay.
Thank you, Kay.
Thank you so much, Mariah. I'm so excited to be here during Black History Month. We're happy to have you all join us as we discuss Black trans power and resistance as a part of TLC's Community Conversations webinar series. Our goal of this conversation is to shine a light on
Oh my God. Transgender Law Center is TLC. Okay.
Black trans movement leaders and organizations fighting for our liberation at a state and a local level. In addition to providing political education around mutual aid, direct services, and healing justice work as tools and blueprints on building and sustaining Black trans power and resistance, we're going to get to know these really wonderful panelists, and I'm excited to have you all here for our discussion as we work and we fight for our collective futures and our liberation. With that, I'm going to let our panelists do their intros. We're going to start with Adaku, and then we're going to move on to Jordy, Chris, and then Devin. So I'm going to let each of you all take it away.
Thanks so much, Kay, and the entire TLC team for just constantly being a model of creating the ecosystems that we need to come together and learn and build. My name is Adaku. I use all pronouns, and I'm so grateful that I'm the product of queer and trans love across oceans, from Lagos, Nigeria, where I was raised and where a lot of my people are from, to Brooklyn and now New Jersey, also known as Lenni Lenape lands that have raised me and also taught me about freedom and how to exist in this time.
I'm gonna get glasses like that.
And I'm a queer non-binary person who has spent the last 2 decades holding some core questions that anchor who I am. And I'm so grateful that I get to answer these questions alongside many queer and trans leaders and organizations that are working towards our freedom. And one of the core questions is, how do we build more interdependence and more violence? How do we build more interdependence and less violence amongst us and around us? How do we build more interdependence and less violence amongst us and around us? And I get to answer this.
Guys, pop quiz, because we're commenting on the land blessing. What, like, and this will be a good, like, a little review. Why do they do land blessings? Does anyone know? Why does the left do land blessings? What is the purpose? We are on the ancient end of the Lenape tribe that was viciously stolen from them when they were colonized by the evil white man. Like, why do they do land blessings? Why do queer and trans people care about, we are on the ancient ancestral lands of the Lenape tribe? Because the land was stolen by evil colonizers. But what does that have to do with being queer and trans? It's to mourn the idea of the original caretakers of the land. Yup. They do land blessings to mourn how capitalism has captured and privatized indigenous lands. Very good, Liquid Marble. Very, very, very good. They believe the indigenous land was privatized under the oppressive force of capitalism. Yup, that's exactly right. It highlights the oppression and identification of the fight against capitalism. Oh, there was a land blessing at the Oscars? Oh, imagine my shock about that. Imagine my shock. Land blessings reminds capitalists that all the land was stolen from other people. Yup, it was stolen and then privatized under the oppressive force of capitalism. It is a show of solidarity with the oppressed. Yup, exactly. The people who had their land stolen. It is to recognize that the land was stolen from the indigenous people and then made private property under the oppressive force of capitalism. Very, very, very good, guys. Very good.
Question through a couple different roles in true Aries, Sun, Gemini, Moon, Leo
Aries.
rising fashion. I'm a grassroots
I can out
strategist
Aries this
and
bitch.
have been throwing down
I
with
promise you.
racial, reproductive, and gender justice and healing justice movements. I'm also a politicized healer and healing justice practitioner, really working to support how our people reconnect to their inherent power and aliveness in their bodies. I'm a movement facilitator that has been working with leaders and organizations to shift the ways that chaos, crisis, and contradictions impact us and turn that into the medicine and blueprints that we need. And I'm also a ritual artist that's deeply connected to figuring out how we weave spiritual depth and practice into our work so that we are able to connect with what's bigger than the human flesh and bigger than our own human understanding and reconnect us to our relationship with land and spirit and our ancestors. Another core question that guides and anchors my work is how do we cultivate more connection, congruence, and care? How do we cultivate more connection, congruence, and care? And I see that I see the ways that we get to respond to that on so many different scales, on a cellular level, on a community level, and on a generational level, with how we are metabolizing what has happened to us in the past and using that to support how we support our futures. And I'm perpetually humbled by what I know and also what I don't know.
Side note, did you guys hear that Ben Shapiro made some call for Derek Chauvin to get a pardon today? And now all the conservative, sheep are out being like, yes, Derek Chauvin is an innocent man and he deserves to be pardoned and all this shit. And it's like, you know what? You know what, conservatives? You get what you deserve because, listen, first of all, I don't think Derek Chauvin is a good person. And I don't think that Derek Chauvin is someone to admire. This is like Andrew Tate. This is like conservatives admiring Andrew Tate. And you can have issues, I suppose, with components of the trial. That's fine. But for real, it's like, do you guys want to lose the midterms again? Because didn't we have do you guys remember, can we rewind to 3 years ago when Republicans were all about the abortion being overturned by the Supreme Court and the draft Roe decision got released? And I was like, even before that, even before the draft decision got released, even when Republicans brought the abortion case to the Supreme Court, I was like, you retards, this is going to cost you the fucking midterms. And Republicans are like, no one cares about abortion and you're wrong and you're stupid and we're going to cancel you. And I got so much shit for saying that it was going to cost them the midterms. What ended up happening? Abortion cost the Republicans the midterms in 2022. Cost them the midterms. And I turned out to be right, and no one ever admitted it because they never do. And I was one of 3 people saying it was a bad idea. Well, fast forward, and now Republicans are like, we need to pardon Derek Chauvin. We need to pardon Derek Chauvin. He is innocent. He is perfect. He is a hero. He is a martyr. And it's like, you fucking retards. Do you know what is one of the worst possible decisions that could be made right now? To pardon Derek Chauvin. That is the worst. Do you want riots all over the fucking place all year long? Because that's exactly what you're going to get. Right now, Black Lives Matter is basically irrelevant on the left. The left isn't even organizing around race anymore. Not really. I mean, stuff like this is more about queer than it is about race. And it's like, they're quiet. There's some queer stuff starting to spin up. There's some Palestine stuff, obviously. But the race stuff has pretty much died down. Do you want to see the race shit fired out of a cannon like you've never seen it fired out of a cannon before? Pardon Derek Chauvin. Yeah. Do you want to see more American cities burnt down? Do you want to see a resurgence of the fucking Chaz? Go ahead, pardon Derek Chauvin, see what happens. And you know who's going to be to blame for that? It's going to be fucking Trump. And there will be retribution in the midterms for all of the bullshit that is set off based on, he is so perfect. No, he wasn't perfect. I'm sorry. No, he wasn't. I know that you watched a documentary that fed all your confirmation bias, because this is the thing too, is conservatives watched that documentary about Derek Chauvin that told them everything they wanted to fucking hear. And so now they think he's this innocent martyr because they saw a documentary one time. And it's like, you understand documentaries are propaganda, right? No, they don't understand that. No. So if Trump pardons Derek Chauvin, and if this turns into an epic backlash shit show that re-energizes the entire fucking Black Lives Matter movement that has been basically dead for years now, I'm going to just put it out there that I said this was a bad idea from the very beginning, and then when it happens, I'm going to take my victory lap. I'm going to say I told you so, just like I tried to sell you so with abortion, and you didn't fucking listen. Oh, wait, now all the major cities in the country are burned down because you couldn't rein it in? Okay. Yeah, and I will be right. If they do this, I will prove to be right. I promise you.
On a practical level, I'm the senior manager of movement building programs at the Building Movement Project. We're a national organization that supports the dignity and power of organizations.
No. Suzanne, we have no evidence, none. We don't make shit up on this channel. We have no evidence that Black Lives Matter is even organizing right now in any significant way. So no, I don't think it's out of there. I do not think it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to riot anyway. I think that's a bullshit conservative talking point that ends up getting conservatives in a lot of predicaments they don't need to be in because they don't actually research what's going on. Black Lives Matter right now is basically dead. You want to see it revived to the height that it was in 2020? Release Derek Chauvin and see what happens. So dumb.
Through research, relationships, and really practical resources. I'm also a senior teacher with BOLD, Black Organizing for Leadership and Dignity. And we have a political mandate to building a powerful and coordinated Black left. And I've been throwing down with the National Network of Abortion Funds and the New York Abortion Access Fund to support how our people get access to abortion care in this wild terrain. And I also have been throwing down with the All Black Healing Collective, following the legacy of Harriet Tubman, to support how abolition and healing can coexist in our bodies and in our communities. So grateful to be here. Want to let folks know up front that I'm going to be leaving a little bit early because I'm currently at the airport on my way to another all Black healing space. So I'm sad to leave a little bit early, but grateful that I get to be in conversation with my incredible comrades.
Oh, it's a fake background. Okay. Comrades!
Pass it on to you, Jory.
Amazing. Thank you. My names are Jordy, Jordan, Jordiana.
I thought that was
Earth
real.
to Jordy, everything.
Good.
You can Google me and
that was a good green screen.
Find a lot of my work and the different portals to support, to be curious in the direction of what I do. I'm currently on Choctaw Black Native land, Bulbancha, also known as New Orleans, by way of the Tongva land of Los Angeles, by way of where some of my people are Black and native to Arkansas, Mount Holly, Arkansas, Choctaw land, Black Native land.
Black Native land? What the fuck is Black Native land?
I would say,
whoa.
I guess I've been using this word a lot. I've been doing a lot of grants and, writing a lot about myself recently, and multi-dimensional, multidisciplinary.
Someone should give me a grant to do something.
Multi-sensorial artist is something that comes to mind. I utilize a lot of mediums. I connect with what Adaku was saying around ritual as art, ritual as a way to commune with other artists, commune with people, photography.
I'm not starting an NGO. That's not
fashion, working with wax, sound, making films. A lot of my work in organizing is centered around healing facilitation, meditation guidance, ritual ceremony guidance, both individually and collectively. So I've worked individually with different organizers to just center and ground some of the energy that, you know.
What? Are you fucking kidding me? I'm literally seeing people tweet that anyone who disagrees with Ben Shapiro on the freeing of Derek Chauvin is anti-Semitic. By the way, did you guys see that Robert F. Kennedy denounced anti-Semitism as a public health crisis? Where have I heard this before? Do you guys remember in 2020 when the left, after George Floyd, when the left wanted to protest every weekend, but we were under like lockdown orders, they literally declared that racism was a public health crisis, and that was the rationalization for why the left could protest? And now, look where we are. Robert F. Kennedy is declaring that anti-Semitism is a public health crisis. And that's why we need to limit free speech on college campuses, because anti-Semitism is literally a public health crisis. It's like, I saw that and I was like, you have got to be fucking kidding me. Are you serious, mother effers? Do these people have no self-awareness? No, the answer is they don't. They have no self-awareness at all. They have no values. They have no ethics. They have no principles. They have no sense of history. They don't care about anything other than what serves their narrative right now. And right now, it serves Robert F. Kennedy and the Trump administration to say anti-Semitism is literally the worst public health crisis in this country, and that's why we need to censor free speech on college campuses from people we disagree with. It's like, do you guys remember in 2020 when Trump was like, we're going to restore free speech on college campuses, and now Trump and the administration are leading the charge against free speech on college campuses? It's like, bro, they are a parody of themselves every time.
We can take on by being on the front lines, by the front lines being at our bodies, when our bodies are what is under attack, when our bodies and our spirits are what is on the chopping block, the front lines become much closer to us than just being in the street or being outside. The front lines can be, you know, right on our hearts, right in our beds.
The front lines are in our hearts.
So yeah, a lot of the work that I do individually is to kind of heal through that, informed by my own healing practices, as well as a lineage that I am attuned to. My ancestors are healers. I come from a long line of healers that use herbology, that connect with, you know, other people's spirits to see, you know, like, what's going on, what ails you, come into my house, come into my kitchen, let's, you know, put some fire on this pot.
Let's just be very clear. And I'm schooled in the art of woo, as you guys know. There is no universe in which this person is a healer, and there is no universe in which anyone should be receiving healing from people who look like this. And it's not, and this isn't even about, like, this person obviously having different political beliefs than me. This is about saying this person's energy is not right. This is not healing energy. No. You don't put yourself in a vulnerable position to receive healing energy from people like this. You just don't. It's a bad idea.
Let's throw these bones and, you know, let's really arm ourselves and equip ourselves for healing in a war that particularly feeds on death and eats people up and eats and sucks on people's energy. Healing becomes, a weapon of sorts. I know that might be controversial, but I really do believe in the face of people who prioritize sickness, who plant seeds of it. When we heal, that becomes a great power and a great force. So not only is my work done on the individual level, on collective levels, that is what I'm doing. I've organized with Familia TQLM that works with trans, queer, migrant youth and elders, and also in New Orleans, in Boubancha, working with the Deep Spacecraft right now. That is a housing project and contemporary art space for Black trans people here in the South. So on top of all that, I also do art. So check me out. I'll let my art, speak for itself, and am excited to hear more about the lovely beings who are on this panel with us. I don't know who's next. I'm sorry.
Next. I think we've seen that person on the top left before. I'm pretty sure.
Of course, it is me. uh, Chris Goins, he, him pronouns. I am I am the founder and board president of Black Trans Men of Ohio. A little bit about me. By day, my 9 to 5, I am resetting people's passwords. I'm a help desk technician by day, and in the evening is when I do all of my nonprofit work. I like to say, my degree is in computer information systems, so I kind of fell in to nonprofit work into this world because at the time I didn't see anybody that looked like me, and I was like, if I could, and so I went pretty much looking for others that live the same as me, right? Same journey as I that could relate. And from that, my organization was birthed. It's called Black Trans Men of Ohio. So a little bit about us is we are a grassroots organization based out of Ohio. Our goal is pretty much, we go by our pillars is pretty much visibility, community building, increasing people's abilities to access resources and advocacy. Why we chose those, I would say, just kind of keep it short and sweet, is again visibility, of course, because at the time I ain't seen anybody that looked like me, right? And I feel like that is important for us because a lot of times when people think about transgender people, they are not thinking of Black trans men. So like when those conversations are had, when they visualizing transgender, I am not what they think of in their mental mind, right? So I want to increase that visibility and also give us a voice. That's also where the advocacy portion comes in of our mission.
Why is it so important, do you think, that trans activists and queer activists are always talking about increasing visibility, increasing visibility, increasing visibility? They want to make sure they're seen. They want to make sure they're heard. They wear crazy clothes and have crazy hair so that you see them. Why is that so important to them, do you guys think? Any ideas? I am not getting hit with a blizzard, and so I'm feeling pretty good about not being in a blizzard right now. You guys are talking about being in a blizzard. Thoughts and prayers to everyone in a blizzard, but I live in New Hampshire. Like, it's not that impressive. Okay, it's just snow. Why do you guys think that they are so concerned about being visible? Not seeing any answers in the chat so far that are correct. I'm seeing answers. I'm just not seeing correct answers. I'll ask it again. Why is it... No. Why do they use that language specifically? Close spot, getting closer. Kristen, why would you say to attract more followers? That has no relevance to here. Come on. Come on. No. No, nothing about spread. I didn't say spreading message. No, no, no. No, no, no. Those of you who read the first chapter in the Mary Nardini gang story should know the answer to this because it's literally in the first chapter. Hang on. Hang on. Let me see if I can find the section that I wrote about it in. Let me see. Let me see. Let's take a look at this. We're going to read a little section of this book. Again, you can find it at redmenaccollective.substack.com. This is free for everyone for the moment. By the late 2000s, the mainstream LGBTQ+ movement was fully committed to assimilationist goals, marriage equality, military service, representation in corporate advertising. National organizations like the Human Rights Campaign framed gay liberation as a matter of legal rights and respectability, focusing their efforts on lobbying politicians and winning over corporate sponsors. For radical queers, this was a betrayal of queer liberation's revolutionary origins. The Stonewall riots of 1969, led by transgender women of color like Martha P. Johnson, she, her, and Sylvia Rivera, she, her, weren't polite requests for inclusion, but fierce rejections of state violence. While early queer liberation movements of the 70s had called for dismantling capitalism and the nuclear family, by the 2000s, mainstream organizations had abandoned this radical vision in favor of narrow rights-based reforms. The ideological rift played out in real time in Milwaukee's queer spaces. In 2008, when the HRC held a fundraising gala at the Pfizer Hotel downtown, a group of radical queers disrupted the event, unfurling banners reading "Marriage is the new closet" and "Stonewall was a riot, not a brand." Security removed them within minutes, but the movement crystallized the growing divide between the mainstream LGBTQ+ politics and the radical fringe. Mainstream LGBTQ+ organizations pushed a narrative of progress that depended on obedience, reinforcing what queer theorist Lisa Duggan, she, her, termed homonormativity, a vision of queerness that is conformed to capitalist, state-sanctioned models of family, citizenship, and consumerism. The concept described how certain homosexual lifestyles were becoming accepted, not because society was embracing true liberation, but because these lifestyles didn't threaten existing power structures and could be integrated into consumer capitalism. Get married, serve your country, buy rainbow-colored merchandise. The radicals in Milwaukee saw through this facade. Queerness was being commodified, disciplined, and turned into something safe, something sellable, something entirely disconnected from the insurgent roots. I forget exactly where I wrote this, but I hope people are starting to get the idea, though. Here it is. Here it is. Here is the answer to the question. For queer activists, for queer anarchists, queerness is not just an identity. It was a direct challenge to the state, to capitalism, to all forms of hierarchy. To be queer was to be a threat, an insurgent force against the institutions that had tried to erase them. When you guys hear queer activists talking about we need to be visible, making themselves visible, making sure they are screaming in your face, they're putting their fist in your face, they have the crazy hair color, the crazy clothes, they're talking about, like, you know, making sure they are seen. It's because queer activists believe that capitalist structures are literally trying to erase their existence. That's why. Capitalism is trying to erase their existence. That's why they are perpetually fighting against capitalism. Aha! We got there, huh? We got there. See, when you read the stuff I write, it all comes together, doesn't it? Because I'm a much better writer than I am presenter on the internet. significantly better writer than I am presenter on the internet, although I think I do okay at that too. But that's why, guys, that is the answer to why queer activists are always talking about being visible, because they think they're being erased.
Is giving ourselves voice and that visibility to speak up for us in times when we're usually not there in those rooms. And I've had the opportunity to be in the rooms to give us a voice. Community building is because a lot of times, just like I couldn't find anybody that looked like me, I am not alone. There's others just like me looking for people that look like me. So if I can create safe spaces for us to come together and build brotherhood, in which we have honestly have done within my short tenure with my nonprofit. We have a annual healing retreat that we have as a weekend of just the guys. Last year we got the opportunity. Some guys went horseback riding, some went kayaking for the first time. So it's an opportunity not just to have that brotherhood, but also to do something you've never done before, 100% free of charge. We have a support group that we have. We also, when it comes to the resources portion of the things, is we also have a top surgery recovery kit. Because when I began this journey with my support group, a lot of guys were struggling with having anybody, a person, or any resources for themselves after having their top surgery. So I came across this kit, and now we offer it for free along with hair clippers, right? So those are just a few of the things that my organization that we do for our community. So I think that's all I have. Oh yeah. This board that we do. So if you ever want to like see it, everything that we do, I'll just going to do this little plug in the beginning, and I'm going to do it again later. So follow us on the IG, Instagram for other people, and Facebook. We're trying to get to the TikTok, but we haven't quite got there yet. I'm currently the second youngest person on my board. So yeah, we're getting there. All right, bear with us. All right. So so I'm gonna pass it on to the next person, which I don't remember who that was.
That would be me.
I've heard of it. Yeah, Kev.
So happy
it's a
to
good
be
point.
here with so many incredible people doing so many incredible things. Wow. My name is Devin Michael Lowe.
So amazing.
I am a queer trans man of Jamaican descent, based in Boogie Down, Bronx. I've been organizing.
Does this they them look Jamaican?
Community for over the last 10 years here. I am currently the founder and co-director for an organization called the Black Trans Travel Fund. We're a Black trans-led collective rooted in self-advocacy and mutual aid for Black trans women globally.
I mean, I suppose I can kind of maybe see it, but like, is this some sort of like weird trans racialist thing? Is that what this is?
Our mission is really to provide travel support, like flights, car rides, passports, whatever that may be, and to connect communities internationally, and eventually establish pathways towards opportunities, safety, success. I founded Black Trans Travel Fund back in 2019 with an understanding of a need for, as a trans masculine person, to be in communal solidarity with the girls and trying to find a way to do that and make some tangible differences. I also work as a community media organizer for Black Trans Media, where I help to facilitate a weekly meditation space specifically for Black trans masculine folks. I'm also on the committee for something called the Trip, which is an annual convening of Black trans masculine people from all over the country and other parts of the world as well, who come together for joy, play, leisure, something outside of the conferences, something that is rooted in healthy Black masculinity, trying to build community. And so really excited. We've been doing that for the last 3 years. And yeah, I don't want to drag on too long because I know we have so much of a conversation.
I wonder if, by the way, that is the actual audio. That's on there and that's not on mine. I wonder if, Okay. This person just said there's like an annual trip for trans masculine people to like, you know, just do trans masculine things or whatever. I wonder if I could, not for the trans masculine thing obviously, because I don't think I look like a dude, but like I wonder if I could, if there is like a similar trip for like trans women, cuz I have a more masculine voice and I have a more masculine energy. And I feel like if I was going to go undercover at a trip for like trans people, I could definitely pass as like a trans woman. I'm pretty sure, which I know will be used against me later, but like, you know, like if you like listen, I can't control that I have more masculine energy. I can't control my voice. I can't control any of those things, but we can take advantage of them. And so maybe if there's a trans woman trip like this where they talk about queer trans women things, maybe I can infiltrate that. Do you guys think I could pull it off? Could I pass?
To get into, but it's a little bit about me.
I bet I could.
Wow, that was really wonderful. Thank you all so much for those introductions, sharing a little bit about both who you are, what you do, and giving us a glimpse at how powerful you are. This is really exciting. I'm going to kick off our conversation for any of our panelists, if anyone wants to answer this question, which is, can you tell us what Black trans liberation means to you? And how does this impact the work that you are doing in your own communities? And don't everybody jump at once. Let's just like, whoever wants to pop in.
I'm happy to pop in. Oh,
No,
Chris,
go
do
ahead.
you want to go? Okay. Thank you. I can't wait to hear what you have to say to this question. So for me, Black trans liberation means so many things, but at the core, it's a practice that we commit to every single day. It's a practice of remembering that we are not alone and that we're so interwoven and connected. I think about how my own liberation is so deeply tied to my queer and trans siblings in Lagos, Nigeria, and across Palestine and Sudan and Congo, and how our liberation is so deeply tied to so many of our ancestors. And part of how we keep their liberation going is to remember that they exist even beyond this realm, that even though they've gone from this realm, we're still connected to them and that they're never forgotten, and they continue to live inside of us. And even in this moment, I just want to pause to honor ancestors who have gone far too soon, at the hands of genocide, at the hands of state violence, at the hands of not being able to find belonging in home and community. And my prayer and my wish in this moment is that their souls are free wherever they are choosing to be in this particular moment. What also moves me about Black trans liberation is that it defies definition. Like if you ask,
it defies definition.
10, all of us that are on this panel, which we're about to all answer, you're going to get so many different responses, and those responses I would imagine would even shift every single hour. And I think that that's such a powerful thing, is that we get to keep defying, being contained and constrained to a particular way of being. And we keep moving beyond a static place and really reaching for the abundant nature of ourselves, which is powerful. I think often of the work of my sister, Toni Michelle, who's been co-running Solutions, Not Punishment collab in Atlanta. And she talks a lot often about how, you know, when they're about to begin an organizing campaign, they often ask this question of what would make you feel the most free today? And I think that's such a powerful question, but also centering the question around freedom and having that be an anchor point that really guides how we shape campaigns that are relevant to our people is so necessary and so vital. And I think it's part of why a lot of the work that she's been leading and a lot of folks that she's connected to in the South and all over the country feel really relevant to our people because they really hold this curious question around what does it mean for us to be free, especially in this world that is highly policed, that is norm driven, that is carceral and capitalistic, and is often trying to erase and minimize the capacity of our radical imagination. The state is actively working to keep us small and predictable, and more than anything, keep us isolated and alone.
The state is actively working to keep us small and predictable and isolated and alone. That's what we talked about earlier when we were talking about why do they want to be visible? Well, they believe the state is literally trying to erase them
from each other, which is very intentional and by design. And I think that part of how we've expressed liberation over time is being masters of ecosystems of care. You know, figuring out ways that we can create bridges across impossible distances. When I think about how we've been able to support asylum seekers from Nigeria to get homes in other parts of West Africa, to getting homes here in the US, that is building bridges where it might have been absolutely impossible, but our people figured out a way. When I think about supporting queer and trans rape survivors and making sure that they can get access to abortions across state lines, from Texas to Mexico, that to me is such a powerful example of us figuring out a path. And it reminds me of this beautiful James Baldwin quote that I just got reconnected to, where he talks about being in a freedom that is close enough to love. Like freedom can actually feel so powerful that it is loving. And I think that in a world where we often have to navigate social death in so many different ways, that trans folks are creating so many portals of deep joy and deep ecstasy, while also bearing witness to the real violence that's happening in our communities, like creating enough spaciousness for us to hold it all, the rage and the anger and the what the fuck of the violence, but also we also get to live this sacred life, and we get to create the conditions that we need to be free, whether it's life in the ballroom to the courtroom to the bedroom. I think that we are taking up the space that we need and also making room for our siblings. And I think part of how we make room for our people.
Then why are you here? Then why are you here? If no one cares, why are you here? You like to be snarky about things, and I don't like it. It makes me think that you're not actually paying attention, and it makes me think you're not actually learning anything.
Is by choosing to,
because that's a comment that makes me think you don't know what you're talking
that
about.
goes beyond ourselves. And so I think that liberation includes how we listen to Black trans elders around accessibility before we create a space online or in person. To me, it also looks like following the leadership of trans young people who've been organizing in New York and in New Jersey and literally all over the country to call the medical industrial complex to task around the ways that care is being criminalized right now. And I think it's also, can y'all hear me okay? Beautiful. Okay. They're doing the airport announcement, but I'm still here with y'all. I think it's also about the doing away with the false dichotomy between doing direct service work and organizing, and bringing these two important strategies together, knowing that direct service alone will not get our people free. Direct service is really important. Our people need to eat. They need homes. They need to be able to get access to care. And we also need to be working to transform our conditions so that trans lives can exist for generations, and our lives not only exist for generations but exist on our own terms. So it's a practice to me. It is a daily practice that we keep saying yes to, that yes, today we keep choosing freedom, that freedom has our names on it, and freedom not only exists within us, but it is something that we actively work towards to support how we are all collectively able to exist for lifetimes. And I know for many of us, if not all of us, like waiting for permission to fully exist was never an option. So even by the mere fact that we are alive, that we are breathing in this moment, however bruised and brave, I think it's its own embodiment of its own kind of freedom and liberation. And one last thing I want to say is a question. I'm all about questions because I think that we need to stay curious. I think part of how our people are punished is that we create certainty out of people and society, like you are this. And I think part of how we break that binary or we break that predictability is to keep asking questions and being curious about ourselves and each other. And so one of the questions that I often welcome and throw into spaces is, who do we need to be so that we can all be free? Who do we need to be so that we can all be free? And that starts from this moment that you're in right now, how you're choosing to listen, even how you are shaping your body so that more of you can exist inside of your organs and your cells, to our relationships with people in our hoods, and how are we in principled struggle with people that we don't agree with, but have to share some level of strategy together in order to figure out how our people get access to what they need. So I just want to drop that other question for you all to hold in your heart. If you have desire and capacity, who do we need to be for us to be free? I'll pass it to you, Chris.
Thank you, Optima. I appreciate it.
Chris, you're muted, actually.
To be really clear, like, capitalism isn't perfect, and I want to make sure, like, my position on that is really clear. I'm not like free markets, bro. Capitalism is the best thing to ever happen ever. Now, listen, I don't mind free markets. Free markets are definitely preferable to communism for me. But I just want to be really clear that, like, we need to be pro-private property ownership, which is how the left defines capitalism. It's private property ownership. We need to be pro that because that is the antidote to what the left is doing. But that's not to say that capitalism doesn't have its own problems, okay? And we need to be honest about that. But there are bigger priorities, and we need to dispense with the left first.
Okay, perfect. I found it. I was trying to find the window, so I was talking to myself as I was looking for it. I would say that was deep, and I appreciate that question. I actually had to write that one down to think about later. I would say for me that when I'm looking up this question for myself, I had to look up what Black liberation was, because I honestly didn't have a definition of my own for it. So I had to look it up. And, it's basically like the textbook definition is just the pursuit of freedom, justice, and self-determination, right? Pretty much to address and dismantle, the racism, white supremacy, the oppression, everything that we face on a day-to-day basis. So with that definition and, processing it on my own and thinking about it, it's everything that I do. Was what my organization is, without a title. Like, I didn't have that title until now, that I would say, because the first thing for me is when I first walk in the door, they see a Black man, right? So Black comes first for me every day for everything that I do, and then trans comes second for me. So everything that I do, waking up in the morning, eating meals, for me is Black liberation, because just being who I am and just being a human being is that for me, in my definition of it, because that's what we are. We're all human beings, and we all should have the option to have the same rights as everybody else and do the same thing. And so what we are here doing, all of us together on this panel, is fighting for that, for not just ourselves, but for our communities, right? For all of our people, not just trans, not just our trans brothers and sisters, but but there's our black in general brothers and sisters, regardless, and from all across the world, not just in the U.S., right? Because all of this racism and oppression is not just is there's a lot of us in the U.S., but it's not just here either, right? So for me, like I said, when I black liberation pretty much is like the fight for us, right? For us to be able to have that American dream that we all dreamed of, right? Of having the house, the picket fence, the dog, 2.5
That's not
dogs,
what
which
it
I'm still
is,
trying to figure
bro.
out how you have half a
That's
dog,
not what it is.
car and kids,
He
right?
doesn't know.
What does that look like for us? We're all fighting for that. I even have a whole speech that I have around that topic itself. But yeah, so yeah, that does pretty much answer the question. Try to keep it short and sweet. I didn't want to go much too far into it, so I'll open it up to whoever wants to jump in now.
That's actually going to be me. Thank you. I wish that if I wasn't moderating, I would be taking notes because both of what you all said was incredibly brilliant. I want to give the opportunity, as I ask this next question, to really pass it over to Devin and to Jordy. If we could talk a little bit about how economic justice, our need for mutual aid, and incorporating healing justice connects to
What do they mean when they say economic justice? What does that mean, do you think? Transgender Law Center talking about economic justice? What do we think that means? Don't let me down, guys. This is your chance to shine. I don't want to see any retardia in my chat. What does economic justice mean? No, it does not mean reparations. No. Oh my fucking god. You guys are you serious? Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious? Okay, we're gonna try that again. Thank you. Thank you. There were like, I thought this was like the stupidest question. I wasn't even gonna ask it. I was like, everyone's just gonna say capitalism. No, literally no one said capitalism. And that was in fact the answer. This time, Renan. Renan is the only one who wins. Everyone else fails.
Black liberation as a whole, and if there are any strategies that you all use to engage meaningfully in this work.
Should I take it? Yeah, I'll start off. See, in terms of how economic justice and the need for mutual aid connect to Black trans liberation. I mean, mutual aid has literally always been a means of survival in a world where Black trans people are under-resourced, where Black communities in general are under-resourced.
What does mutual aid mean? Pop quiz, what's mutual aid? They're relating mutual aid specifically to economic justice. What does mutual aid mean? Guys, what is mutual aid? I need a definition of mutual aid. What is it? No, it's not universal healthcare. It's a specific thing. Guys, what is a mutual aid network? Please stop. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. You guys have heard of this before. I'm not taking, like, no. Okay, no one knows the answer, so that is now your job. Go look up what mutual aid is. I'm not even going to give you this answer, because you all should know this answer. We hear about mutual aid literally all the fucking time, and no one can define what a mutual aid network is. No, it's a specific, okay, everyone needs to go look up mutual aid. I'm not telling you the answers. Every single, literally, if you chat it in, you got it wrong. There was not one single correct answer to the question that I asked. You might have answered some question, but you did not answer the question I asked. Looks like Captain and Bot have both Googled it. A community-based model of cooperation and support where people share resources. This is a Googled answer, okay? Do you know how I know it's a Googled answer? Because Bot has exactly the same answer. Maria has exactly the same answer. Bot is looking up the answer again. That's not the answer I wanted. I wanted you to describe what mutual aid is. What is it? What is a mutual aid organization? We hear about mutual aid organizations all the time. There are mutual aid organizations for Free Palestine. There are mutual aid organizations for protesters. There are a lot of mutual aid organizations for reproductive justice. What is a mutual aid? Do not stop doing this right now. If I ask you guys a question, what I don't want is you going to fucking Google or ChatGPT and copying and pasting an answer. Kristen, you're like the 5th person to do this, and they're all the same answers. Do you know why they're all the same answers? Because you guys are going and copying and pasting something from ChatGPT without actually understanding it. I'm not asking for you to copy and paste. I'm asking you to explain. What is a mutual aid organization? Literally 0 people have gotten it right so far. I do not accept a copy-pasted definition that you do not understand as the answer. That is not acceptable. ChatGPT gives correct answers all the time, so shut the fuck up with that. Here we go. We're descending into retardia. We are descending into retardia. This is like the easiest answer in the world, and no one can answer it. A mutual aid organization is an organization that you go to if you need stuff. If you need an abortion and you don't have the money for an abortion, you go to a mutual aid network, and the mutual aid network pays for your abortion. That is the type of answer I was looking for. I am not looking for copy and paste generic answers that I know you guys don't actually understand them. No, you're okay. Every single person that has done a copy paste answer today has failed. Every single one. I don't want to hear copy-paste dictionary definition of something. I want you to explain what that thing is. Does anyone want to try one more time before I just declare my entire chat retarded and move on? And by the way, this answer doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. So what is it? Can you give me an example? Can you give me an example? Can you give me an example? Can anyone in the chat give me one example of a mutual aid organization? If you can't give me one example of a mutual aid organization, you don't understand the answer to the question. So stop pretending you understand the answer to the question if you cannot give me an example of a mutual aid organization. The question is now, can you give me one example, one real-world example of a mutual aid organization? No, churches are not mutual aid organizations. No, they're not. Nope. This is the difference between getting the dictionary definition correct and actually understanding in the real world what's going on. No, Salvation Army is not a mutual aid organization, guys. Maybe close, but not exactly what I'm going for. No, no. Well, I suppose a food bank would be like a mutual aid organization. You're right about that. Nope, the Black Panther Party is not a mutual aid organization. National Network of Abortion Funds. Yes. No, Planned Parenthood is not a mutual aid organization. Nope, your local LGBT center is not a mutual aid organization. All right. So we learned a lesson today that literally no one in the chat knows what a mutual aid organization is. That's a little alarming, if I'm being honest about it. given that this topic has come up over and over and over and over and over again over the course of like the stuff we've been watching. We've also learned that I have to ask really specific questions. No. Completely wrong. No. Okay, everyone stop answering the question because all the wrong answers I'm seeing are just pissing me off. So everyone stop now. I gave you an example of a mutual aid organization. Apparently no one listened. But we're just going to keep going.
Sourced. I feel like everybody knows about us passing around the same $20, to make sure that folks are fed, donating to each other's GoFundMes, like mutual aid. It says I'm my brother's keeper, right? I'm my sister's keeper. I'm my sibling's keeper. It's not charity. It's solidarity because there's this understanding that, I might not got it tomorrow, but you got me. I know that my siblings got me. Some of the same girls that, have hit up BTTF for support at times have been the same folks that have put food on my table directly at times when I needed it. So
everyone stop answering the mutual aid question in the chat. We're moving on. You all got it wrong, except for Trendolin, who got one example of an organization. We're moving on. If you want other examples, go and Google them. Go look it up. Go learn about a topic.
I really think of it as that way, like, because we're developing a community, right, of mutual support based on like a shared respect and love for the human existence. This goal, like, of economic justice, right, is to establish a foundation for people to live a dignified life, right? When you look at the definition, we're talking about economic justice. And so charity does not breed dignity. It implies this inherent inequality, whereas mutual aid says, we're in this fight together. I'm here for you. And I think in terms of like actual
mutual aid organizations are an example of equity. They don't have equity in the real world as a societal structure yet. So these mutual aid organizations are a way of them infusing equity into the community. If you need something, you can go to the mutual aid organization that offers that thing and get money or resources or whatever the fuck, because they want to make sure that everyone has access to everything they need. It is an implementation of equity in the capitalist era because they don't have actual equity yet. That's what it is. So if someone needs an abortion and they don't have the money, they go to a mutual aid organization, they get the money, the organization pays for the fucking abortion. Whatever it happens to be. If they are a black, trans, queer fucking person of color and they need a place to live, they go to the mutual aid organization. The mutual aid organization provides them with a couple months' rent or something like that. That's what it is. Does everyone understand? We are not talking about nonprofits because most of these organizations aren't even real organizations. Some of them are, many of them aren't, because they exist outside of the capitalist system.
tangible ways, like strategies. I think giving circles are a really great way to participate in mutual aid. You can start a giving circle amongst your friends, give a different person in the group each month some support. You could take a certain percentage of your money and just donate it directly to Black trans people. I'll never stop saying that. There are multiple mutual aid pages that you can follow online to be able to find folks. At Black Trans Mutual Aid on IG is one of them. Encourage you to look that up, follow, support that work. You could throw a fundraising party for your friend. You could do a bake sale for a grassroots org in your community. You could flyer for stuff in your neighborhood in your spare time. Some local mutual aid orgs. Hell, like, do you know how to make t-shirts? Maybe you can make some t-shirts for folks, like put some really important messaging on there and get them out. Like, there are so many different possibilities in terms of strategy. Yeah, pass it to Jordy.
Yes.
Thanks, Annie. Appreciate it.
I like
everyone else can pay up too.
Hearing about those ways and those strategies that you're talking about. Especially when I think about, you know, liberation of what we're being liberated from. And when I think about like economic justice, for me, it is the destruction of capitalism. It is the destruction of
Everyone but Renan needs to hang their head in shame. Every single person who didn't get the answer to that question earlier needs to hang their head in shame. What does economic justice mean? Oh, the destruction of capitalism for 100. Everyone needs to listen to this and remember that I told you so.
Especially when I think about, you know, liberation of what we're being liberated from. And when I think about like economic justice, for me, it is the destruction of capitalism. It is the destruction of patterns of consumerism that the only reason we need to be liberated is like what Chris is saying, is like what Adaku's saying, was like there are systems that mean to subjugate. There are systems that work in binaries, that work in a top-down mentality. Laverne was talking about the 1%. We are not the 1% that they need to be focusing on. There is a particular 1% that is monopolizing resources, that is monopolizing land, water, space, time. And when I think about these things, and I think and envision and dream about the destruction of capitalism, I don't have to go that far. I really don't. I am thankful, like Adaku was saying, like Chris was saying, and Devin, and there is this recircling pattern of mutual aid, of taking care of each other with the same, of communalism, of communism, of tribalism, of indigeneity.
Communism.
That we don't have to go too far to remember when there are still indigenous people on this land. We are still indigenous to somewhere. Our practices are still working their ways through our blood, through our bodies, through our spirits, to return, to heal our relationships with the land, with each other. So when I think about these things, and I think about, you know, shifting and shaking consumerism and the structures of capitalism, which are dying. Capitalism is on its last leg, y'all. I don't know.
Late stage capitalism.
I don't know, but you know, there's only a certain amount of resources that is available for the earth to give, and we are seeing the effects of the well running dry in that regard. For that pattern particularly, for capitalism. And I think that as I, you know, feel the cracks of this very menial, faulty, new, baby-like colonial foundation, and the roots of what Adaku was saying, like the ecosystems of care, of joy, of taking care of one another, of, you know, prioritizing healing, growing those systems, coming through as we speak, you know, the names of our ancestors who have passed on, as we acknowledge generations of people who have been genocided from our communities. I think of that particularly when we're like talking about like the resources that we share with one another that are not just portraits of dead white men, that are our skills, that are our values outside of the system of capitalism. Like Devin was saying, what skills do you have? What can you give that's not necessarily monetary?
Capitalism.
And
everything
really
valuing
yourself through a system that devalues yourself by understanding, like, I am skilled. I do have value outside of capitalism and within capitalism. Like, what are my skills? What am I good at? What do I love to do? How can I share that with another person, with a being, with community? How can I build that? I don't want to go on. I could go on a tangent, y'all.
Go on, girl. Do it. Go on, girl.
So
I know we.
That was just so beautiful. Kristen! Thank you for the penance, Kristen. I do appreciate it. I appreciate it. What are we up to now? 43, getting almost 50% there. All right.
We have other questions, and I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I did also want to follow up because you asked about incorporating the healing practices into the activism. So I did want to touch briefly on it, and just say that.
Because I really want you to dive into this because I know that you can, but I also know that Adaku have flagged that she has to get on an airplane in probably what I think is about 2 to 3 minutes. So Adaku, I want to give you the opportunity to pop in if there's any final remarks you want to say before we come back to the healing practices and round out our.
I so appreciate you, Kay, and thank you, Devin and Jordy and Chris, for making space for me. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to be holding you all with me as I travel and traverse into other spaces with Black folks too. And I want to just pull on the healing thread and just say that this work of freedom is lifelong, and lifelong movements need sustainable movements, and they need sustainable people. And part of what supports people in being sustainable are healing practices that are politicized, that are rooted in place, and are connected to how we're building power for our people, and are not just connected to this wellness industrial complex that's just about individualism and making a body more white and more able-bodied and more thin and more productive. But it's actually, how do we get to the root of how our people feel their power and their belonging and their dignity from the inside out. And so I think that there's also this false dichotomy that healing can coexist with organizing. And I believe that we heal to organize and we organize to heal, and they are core siblings and such necessary fractals in how.
What did I miss? Do I need to go back? What did I miss? All right. Well, we're gonna see if I missed it, Sam.
Bring you all with me as I travel and traverse into other spaces with Black folks too. And I want to just pull on the healing thread and just say that this work of freedom is lifelong, and lifelong movements need sustainable movements, and they need sustainable people. And part of what supports people in being sustainable are healing practices that are politicized, that are rooted in place, and are connected to how we're building power for our people, and are not just connected to this wellness industrial complex that's just about individualism and making a body more white and more able-bodied and more thin and more productive. But it's actually, how do we get to the root of how our people feel?
All right, I know what Sam was talking about. What do all those words mean? Listen again. What do all these words mean? They're not talking about skin color. You can't increase the whiteness of someone's skin color. I guess you could, but that's not what they're talking about. What do all these words mean?
And part of what supports people in being sustainable are healing practices that are politicized, that are rooted in place, and are connected to how we're building power for our people, and are not just connected to this wellness industrial complex that's just about individualism and making a body more.
Wellness is about individualism. That means capitalism.
More white and more able-bodied and more.
White and able-bodied means capitalism.
Thin and more productive. But
thin and productive also means capitalism. All those words mean capitalism. Every single one of those words is a reference to capitalism. Everyone understands that, right? If you don't understand, you need to ask.
It's actually, how do we get to the root of how our people feel?
The short answer for why all those words relate to capitalism is because they all uphold capitalist norms. They all uphold the capitalist system in our society.
Their power and their belonging and their dignity from the inside out. And so I think that there's also this false dichotomy that healing can coexist with organizing. And I believe that we heal to organize and we organize to heal, and they are core siblings and such necessary fractals in how we get free.
Airlines
I also want to say that
Gotta board the plane.
in this
Get on the
moment of
plane,
chaos and
bitch.
crisis,
You're
there's
holding
a
everyone
lot
up.
that's going to be
Get on
pulling
the
at our
plane.
attention in so many different ways. And we are not going to.
Are you serious? Are you serious? The left believes that capitalism, which is defined as private property ownership, created slavery in the United States. Slavery is the ownership of people as private property. The people who owned the property were white. The people who were owned were black. It is not a reference to skin color. It is a reference to ownership status. Slavery then created systemic racism. Systemic means the system that upholds racism. The system that upholds racism is capitalism. You might also hear it referred to as institutional racism. That means the institution that upholds capitalism. When the left says whiteness, white supremacy, racism, they are not referring to your skin color. They are referring to systemic racism, which means the system that upholds capitalism. And I wrote an entire book called A Brief History of Racism that documents all of this in the mouths of the freaking leftists, where they say capitalism over and 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 over again. They say racism is capitalism, capitalism is racism, we have to fight capitalism to fight racism. They say that black people can be considered white if those black people had owned private property or like ascend to standards of whiteness, because whiteness is not about skin color. It is about the ownership of private property and business, which you can find out in this book, which you can get on Amazon right now in paperback and Kindle. If you have confusion about this, it has nothing to do with skin color. You're going to get that book? Yeah, you should get that book. It's got quotes all throughout it. You don't have to take my word for it. I wrote a fucking book for you. I should have called this book Whiteness. You know what? I thought about this when I was writing it. I wrote this entire book without saying whiteness means capitalism. Do you want to know why? I didn't need to. There's quote after quote after quote after quote in this book where it's talking about how this is all about capitalism and the system. And this goes back to the 60s. This goes back to the civil rights movement. Brief History of Racism by me, on sale now. It's a quick read. I'm just saying.
To be able to do everything, and I think that we all have gifts and skills. And so one of the things that we talk about in our work is finding your role. Like, what is your particular role in the social change ecosystem? I'm going to put a link into the chat to share one of our framework.
Final birdie call. Get on the plane, bitch.
And
also get on the plane.
That our work is, sorry, I'm trying to talk over the announcer. But our work is interconnected. So Black trans liberation doesn't happen without economic justice, doesn't happen without disability justice, doesn't happen without healing justice. And how can we keep building solidarity across these movements to make sure that we are not leaving anybody behind, like Harriet Tubman taught us. Also putting another tool in the link all around practicing transformative solidarity in these times. And if you do not have a political home, find your people, including places like TLC. Part of the design of this
She's gonna
work
miss her
is
flight.
to
I'm
keep
not
us
gonna feel bad for
isolated
her.
and separate from each other. So find your people, and we are here. Grateful for y'all. I just heard the final boarding, and I'm so grateful y'all exist. And talk to you soon. Bye.
Adaku, safe travels. Go get on that plane. So I want to go back then to Devin for you to pop in, tell us a little bit about the healing justice, and then I will, after you're done, give a final question. We know that wish we had more time. I think that we could talk about this for far longer than just an hour. So we're gonna keep it moving. Devin, why don't you pop back in?
Sure. I won't take up too much time because I feel like Adaku touched on a lot of what I wanted to say. But I guess in short, I just wanted to name that when we're talking about movement, we're talking about struggling through something serious together. And how can we work together towards a common goal effectively if we don't trust each other, right? Like, how can we trust others to take care of us if we don't see them taking care of themselves. Like we are like the community that we serve, and we have to prioritize ourselves in this work, and if we want long-term sustainability. So I think like that for me speaks to a lot of why healing practices are so necessary to this work, right? Like as Jordy was saying, capitalism is the very thing that we're fighting against. Demands of us our time and our bodies, our minds. It devalues rest. It prioritizes.
Oh, listen to that. Capitalism demands our minds, our bodies. It devalues rest. You know, someone mentioned time earlier, and I think it was Annie that was maybe laughing in the chat saying time is an aspect of capitalism. And I know why Annie might think that, because Annie's relatively new to this. We haven't had the time discussion in a while, but time is actually considered to be a component of white supremacy culture, which is code for capitalist culture, because what do you do when you work in a capitalist job? You punch a time clock. So they do actually include time in that. But let's and this is why they always refer to themselves as bodies too. You guys remember black and brown bodies, brown bodies, because they believe that their bodies are literal cogs in the machine of capitalism.
So I think like that for me speaks to a lot of why healing practices are so necessary to this work, right? Like as Jordy was saying, capitalism is the very thing that we're fighting against. Demands of us our time and our bodies, our minds. It devalues rest. It prioritizes productivity over the lives of human beings. And so when we're taking that time to check in, to collectively breathe, to take a break, or even creating spaces for rejuvenation, in between that strategic planning and the political education sessions, the direct actions, all of that, like we're actively creating a world that we want to see when we are incorporating those healing practices into our activism and our liberatory work.
That's incredible. Thank you. Because that leads actually sort of like right into
stunning and brave.
One of the, I guess like the last questions. I tried to quickly take notes while y'all were talking so that I could give a summary at the end for the folks who joined late, just so that they know what we're talking about. But I'm wondering if we could then shift to talking a little bit about how people can be actively engaged and involved. I mean, I think you all sort of touched on so many of the ways that you all have been able to sort of pour into community. What are some ways you all need people to pour into you for us to continue to do this work and for it to continue to be sustainable? Because Devin, I heard what you said about long-term sustainability and really needing folks to engage in things that are not just short-term. So feel free. I think we've got like 8 minutes or so. Like, let's just pop in. Let's chat about it. And that's open to anyone who would like to go.
Oh, Chris. Oh, go ahead, Chris. Yeah.
You sure? That keeps happening. I would say my number one thing I'll tell people that they that want to support actively is show up. Because the thing is I'm gonna be honest. I feel like the reason why they're able to do what they're doing right now down in DC is because they don't believe that we exist. We're not humans. We're not people. We're these ghosts and phenomenons, right? So that's not just for our allies to show up, but that's for us too. We need to show up for each other in these moments right now, because that we need to show them that there's numbers and that we are real, right? And and then those that also want to support us and be activists as well is stop trying to speak for us. That's another big thing that I say. Stop commenting, taking our stories and trying to repeat them. No, bring us into the room and allow us to tell our own stories, right? That's another big one for me. So I got a list. Also, what I have too is respect our names and our pronouns. You know, it took us a long time to get to where we are. And that just shows common decency and respect. I feel like that's a given. And then just support our businesses, right? If you know a Black trans person that has a business, support them and don't ask for a discount, you know? So I just wanted to run through my list. I'll move out the way.
He's like not happy they're talking about capitalism.
Throw there too, since time is short.
I think that upper right left-hand guy is just like, he's just like a useful idiot. Well-meaning
I have
person.
a little bone to pick.
See?
With celebrity, you know? as we destruct or deconstruct, you know, capitalism, consumerism, as, you know, there are big corporations that we are seeing get rid of their DEI. We're seeing them, you know, show the reveal some of the things that are going on behind closed doors. Like I do want to understand the movements of BDS, or is it BDS?
I just want to point out, for anyone who still might not be convinced that whiteness is about capitalism and not skin color, they haven't talked about white people at all in this presentation. Not really. They haven't named any white people names. They haven't named any white people groups. They haven't said we need to, you know, all white. They haven't said all white people. They haven't said anything about white people. How many times have they said capitalism over and over and over and over and over again?
Am I like boycott, divest? Okay, I was like BDSM. What? Not that. Yeah. But BDS, boycott, divest.
That too, apparently.
And what is the sanction? And when I think about corporations, I really do. Like, a lot of people don't want to, you know, identify their faves and celebrities as corporations that they are. When you look behind somebody's team, when you look about, you know, who people are collaborating with, directors, who their choreographers are, who their team is, who's all in the recording studios, as being a particular demographic of people, and not supporting, you know, Black trans people at all, but utilizing the culture, but, you know, like utilizing us as a seasonal theme for their tour, only to not say anything vocal.
Do you guys remember when we started the war against James Lindsay? And do you guys remember, like, has anyone been around long enough to remember when literally all I used to hear from conservatives was, Carlin, the left never even says capitalism. Why are you saying this is about capitalism? The left never even says Do you guys remember, like, that whole, like, section of time where, and I said this was going to transition. I said they were going to start saying it more and more and more, because they're now moving into the phase where they're making more overt attacks on capitalism. They believe we're in late stage capitalism. They believe their Marxist revolution is almost here. But there were literally fucking years. Literally years. I don't know why you talk about capitalism so much. The left never says capitalism. They never even mention the word capitalism. What are you talking about? They never said, like, every day I heard this. And now all of a sudden, every single time we watch presentations, what do they say? Capitalism. Like, we stop. Like, do you guys remember when we were clipping every single time they said capitalism to show it to conservatives, be like, oh yeah, they never say capitalism here, asshole. And now we don't even bother to clip them anymore, because it's just like, it would be 15 fucking clips in like half an hour. Like, it's just like they say it all the fucking time. Anyway, the moral of the story is that I was right, and I was always right, and you should have listened to me the first time I said it, because I was right then, and I was ahead of my time. I'm beginning to become comfortable with the idea that I'm just always going to be like years ahead of everyone else, and that is a lonely ass place to be. Because you're right, you know you're right, but you're first. And if you're first, that means other people don't see it yet. And so then you have to explain yourself and justify yourself and take attacks from people who don't see it because they don't fucking listen. I basically see into the future. And then a year or two later, I am inevitably proven right. And no one ever admits it, but it's always true. So just remember that.
Only to not, you know, invest back into, like what Chris was saying, Black trans businesses openly. I have a bone to pick with those celebrities, and I have a bone to pick with people who still continue to consume when I know so many Black trans artists who are giving up, who do.
If we win and these guys don't get their Marxist revolution, someday the history books are going to be written, and those history books are going to say there was this crazy bitch screaming about it being capitalism for literally years and no one listened to her. On my tombstone, it is going to say, I tried to tell you and you fuckers didn't listen. Literally, that is the exact text I want on my tombstone. I tried to tell you and you retards didn't listen.
Who cannot right now prioritize their art, who are prioritizing their lives and their livelihood and their survival in a way that is
yeah, you were warned,
could
assholes.
Be more supported.
You were warned and you didn't
listen. I will just, I guess, use that bone to tap on again what Chris was saying, in that, like, there needs to be more support for Black trans businesses, for Black trans art, even just, you know, on like a menial level.
I'm gonna make a t-shirt design. I swear to God, I'm gonna stop interrupting. I'm gonna make a t-shirt design with literally my tombstone. It's gonna have my name on it and everything, and on my tombstone it's gonna say, "You were warned, fuckers," or something like that. It's gonna be some sort of design like that. Like, I tried to tell you.
Looking at a Spotify list on a Spotify rap, or seeing what things you have consumed. Like, who are you listening to? You say you know, you out here like showing up, listening to Black trans people, Black trans artists. There are many. Play their music, buy their albums, buy their merch, like support their Patreons. Give them flowers while they're alive, and not just when they're, you know, fundraising to pay rent, or get out of eviction, or find asylum outside of wherever they're finding asylum, and support their art and their livelihood and their value over the next cis millionaire and billionaire. That's it. That's all. I'm gonna get off my little soapbox.
Very feminine.
Okay, I guess that's my turn. I have so much to say on this topic. I know we have so little time. I'm gonna try to keep it as succinct as I can. In terms of how folks can support the trans community, Black trans folks, I will start with, first of all, start with the people you know. Do you have trans friends? Do you have trans family members? Are you making sure that they're taken care of and have what they need? Are you contributing to their joy and wellness? Buy folks lunch. Better yet, offer to take them out to lunch so you can actually have a conversation with them, figure out what's going on in their lives, how they're being affected by the various things that are happening, and what you can do to support, because we're all having varying experiences at any given time. If you see folks post about an action, are you offering to come? Or are you offering to give them a ride home, or at least pay for their ride home so you can make sure they're getting home safe? Really small things like that. Like, are you scrolling past the GoFundMes when you see them? I know you are, because they're not getting met. Folks are not getting met anymore. People are struggling and support has really dwindled. So, if you got it, no matter how small, even if it's just $1, $5, chip in, because I really think we got to stop thinking that somebody else is going to do it. I think that's like the common narrative for a lot of folks. And it's not. People will see a lot of shares and it'll be 0 donations. There are a lot of grassroots organizations doing mutual aid work in every single city. Do your due diligence, find them, reach out to them, meet up with them, ask how you can support their work. If you got extra money, donate it. If you are able to volunteer, offer that. We've got the Black Trans Liberation Kitchen here in NYC that is feeding community every single week and needs volunteers. Outside of that, is your job outside of your immediate community? Like, what is your job doing? Is your job hiring trans people? Are you ensuring that your work culture makes trans people feel safe and respected? Are you calling out what's it called, financial disparities, or hiring disparities? I think about a lot of different things. Especially with what's going on, this may sound silly, but even something as small as signage, you know, like a sign saying trans people belong here in an office space can make a world of difference when you've got people being targeted left and right now. And I think like, are you putting Black trans people's names in hats for gigs that you come across? And like very simple things. There's so many things that you can do. And lastly, because I know we're out of time, I want to mention that I also want to encourage folks to get connected to our incarcerated siblings, become a pen pal, put some money on folks' books. There are a lot of trans people that are incarcerated. Right now, we have a lot of trans women who are being locked away in men's prisons as a result of these executive orders. And it's cruel and unusual punishment, to say the least. There is no Black trans liberation when our siblings are suffering behind bars. TGIJP, known as Transgender, Gender Variant, and Intersex Justice Project, based out in San Francisco, is a great organization to connect with. They work to end human rights abuses for trans people that are in prison and jail. And they do a lot of like letter writing workshops, various things. So yeah, reach out to folks, see how you can support.
You all are incredible. Thank you so much for sharing. I took a couple notes. I want to give a recap for the folks who are streaming, and say that one, mutual aid is the foundation of our work, is something that we touched on. Ending capitalism. I'm also here for that. Yes. And knowing who we need to be in order for us all to be free, and connecting that to the idea that no one should be left behind in our pursuit for liberation, right? We cannot forget the folks who are incarcerated. We cannot forget youth in particular, and our elders also, pulling everyone into this. That these are lifelong movements, being in community, creating long-term sustainability, and above all, respecting us and allowing us to tell our stories. I think even with a short amount of time, we've touched on quite a few things. You all have really shared some gems, and I'm looking forward to being able to follow up with you all so we can share this out for folks who are interested. I want to also quickly do two things. First, I want to plug the incredible team that got us to do this live stream, including our ASL interpreters, our Spanish language translators. Thank you all for making this ability for many of our followers to be able to see this live, but also to be able to tap into this
Heron. I
afterwards.
didn't realize she was there.
I'm going to shout out my colleague Chris, who's done so much work in getting this conversation going and having us here today. And also to make sure that you all are able to stay engaged and plug our next conversation, where we'll be doing a deeper dive into the executive orders that have come out so far, and share what we have been doing around this work.
We got to check in with Heron. We haven't said hi to Heron in a while.
And my final thought before the tech folks cut the stream is to say that I want to make sure that we all know, whether you're viewing at home or you're here on this panel, that just because we are having this conversation in Black History Month does not mean that the conversation ends on the 28th of this month. This is a continuous conversation, one that we can all be engaged in, one that if you're in your community, you can tap into. Our panelists here today gave a number of resources, organizations, and entities that you all can reach out to. And we're going to do our best to make sure we provide that so that folks have what they need in order to engage with Black folks, Black trans folks specifically, and continue to support us as we fight for our own liberation and also the liberation for all of our siblings. Thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you all have a wonderful day wherever you are streaming this from.
Well, I thought that was a really great presentation. Now, tomorrow we are going to be watching them live. They have a stream at 7 p.m. tomorrow. The Transgender Law Center in conversation with trusted partners to talk about the recent onslaught of executive actions and how trans community are responding to keep us safe and informed. We'll be joined by Marique from Transformations, Elizabeth Gill from the ACLU, and Aaron from the San Diego LGBT Center. Now, this stream doesn't start until 7 p.m. tomorrow, so we might do a little bit of a later stream tomorrow. Maybe not starting right at 5, but we will pick it up at 7. I thought that was a pretty good stream. I appreciate Reagan for bringing it to me and for nudging me again today to watch it so we could watch the stream tomorrow. Reagan takes such good care of me, and she keeps me on track with things, and she does a really great job, and I appreciate her. And even if I sometimes give her crap when she screws up because she's being a retard, I say it with love because I love her, and even when you guys are being a retard, you're still okay. You're still doing better than most, okay? But sometimes you're retarded, all right? But I'm allowed to say that. and you guys know it's true. All right. All right. That is all we have for right now. Now, as a reminder, guys, I will be back in a little bit. We are indeed watching Trump's speech in but a couple of hours. And so we will be back here at 9 p.m. or thereabouts to watch Trump's big speech. And it's going to be the biggest speech. It's going to be huge. It's going to be the best speech. It's going to be amazing. And I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing it, if I'm honest about it. I actually do want to see this speech. I think it's actually going to be a good speech. So we will be back at 9 p.m. tonight for coverage of the big speech. And between now and then, hey, head over to the Red Menace Collective and read the first chapter of the Mary Nardini Gang, the story of the Mary Nardini Gang, Be Gay, Do Crime. And this is going to be my new book project, as though I needed another one. And Debunking the Communist Manifesto is going to be posted. The PDF is going to be posted soon. I actually heard back from Amazon while we were on the call, and they were like, we're going to look into the matter. And I was like, yes, please do look into the matter and confirm that the Communist Manifesto is a public domain document, assholes. No, Jennifer's joining us. Relax, John. Jennifer's joining us. So hopefully the issue will be resolved with Amazon soon when they remove their heads from their asses and realize that the Communist Manifesto is a public domain document and they can put the book up for pre-sale like it already should have been. But that's all right. They're going to get there. I know they're going to get there. We're going to will it. We're going to manifest it. And if you want it early, if you want the digital copy of it early, head over to the Red Menace Collective. That is redmenacecollective.substack.com. You can also get there by going to redmenacecollective.com. It does link there as well. And sign up as a membership, and members are going to be getting their free digital download probably tomorrow, maybe Thursday, but definitely this week. It's going to go up over there. All right. So that is all I have for tonight, for right now. Anyway, I'm going to go get some dinner. And I'll be back in a couple hours and we'll watch the speech. So take care, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
17.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.